Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tousi TV, your global news channel. I'm Tousi and this is your latest news update, this time from Sweden. The Islamist assassin of Salwan, Momika, has been identified by the Swedish authorities. He has, as we believe, fled to Iran, and there is now an international arrest warrant against him. We're going to give you guys the latest update on this. We're going to explain, obviously, what Salwan did in case you have somehow missed this over the last couple of years. And we will be joined soon by a special guest, Nima Rostami, a Swedish lawyer who's going to be explaining the threat in countries like Sweden, but of course in that region of the world, these beautiful countries in Scandinavia had been completely destroyed, slowly but surely, especially the last 20-30 years. Let's start by giving you guys the latest. Of course, Salwan Mamika, who became infamous for burning a book from the 7th century, the Quran. And he became a major political activists against Islam, and since then he said to the world that one day he will die. He's originally from Iraq, and he spent his life fighting against the ideology of Islam. This is what he did, in case you forgot. So he was doing these things, especially in front of the pro-Palestine supporters and then the anti-Israelis, and they used to get completely outraged, of course, because countries like Sweden have been completely dominated by one major ideology from the 7th century. And the authorities and the political establishment, for a very long time, they completely ignored this threat. And they thought that this is just diversity, and it's going to be enriching our cultures, and it didn't actually work. It just made everything worse than before. Now, a lot of people are saying it's a little bit too late for countries like Sweden. There is a fight back, of course. You're seeing the same thing in Denmark and many other places. But is it too late? We now have the identity of the assassin. He's a 24-year-old man from Syria. His name is Bashar Zakur. He was formally charged and also requested to be detained. But according to the Swedish authorities, he has already fled to Iran. Because, of course, the Islamic Republic is a safe haven for those who do fatwa. As I said, we are going to be joined by Nima shortly, as he's just getting ready. I'm going to get his thoughts on this. Before we do that, let's give you more information about this man. Zakur arrived in Sweden from Syria in 2015. That was the year of a major migration wave into countries like Sweden and Germany. Now, since then, obviously, he got his permanent residency in the same year. Since then, he has obviously been collecting a lot of a criminal record, let's just say, including gross negligence in traffic, multiple counts of unlicensed driving, several drug-related offences. He was also suspected in an attempted murder case, which was somehow dropped by the Swedish judges. And the police have now linked him directly to this murder. Now, the problem in Sweden is not really just about one or two individuals, for example, like this man from Syria. There is a direct link about the influence of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps in Sweden. Certain Shia organizations in Sweden are being used by a foreign power for the intelligence activities. This is basically the Islamic Republic of Iran. Now, despite many warnings that the actual establishment that received, the same Shia organizations, same problem we have, by the way, in London, in the United Kingdom, they have continued to receive over 280,000 euros from the Swedish taxpayer in state funding over the last year. The money that comes from the Swedish taxpayer, a lot of it go back to Iran. It's the same problem that we have in London with the Islamic Center in Maidavale that took money from the taxpayer in Britain and basically gave it back to Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran. Now, to discuss this, we're going to go to our special guest who's now going to be joining me. There we go. Where is he? We got Nima. Nima Rostami, a Swedish lawyer. Welcome to the channel. How are you?
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Nice to talk to you and your audience, of course. Thank you.
Yeah, so what is going on I mean, we are having similar problems. We'll talk about Salwan's case, but and this Syrian man, but we are having similar problems in countries like Denmark, Britain, Germany, Sweden. But it seems like Sweden, it felt like even as an outsider, we could see it coming 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago. Sweden used to be beautiful. I'm guessing when you moved, and you know, obviously a lot of other people, especially back in the 90s, it was beautiful, great, lovely people. It doesn't feel like that when you walk around the streets of Stockholm anymore. What's happened?
Yeah, what's happening is that we are experiencing in a new area that Swedish government through the years, through the 3-4 decades, has opened the border and from almost from the Muslim countries, almost MENA region and the Middle East and the Northern Africa, and especially during the 2 past decades, a lot of migrants without any security, background checks, anything, they have moved to Sweden, and the Swedish government from lefties, from liberals, opened the border and granted permission, asylum, citizenship in Sweden for a lot of people that we don't know who they are. And of course, they have also a very strong agenda. And the agenda is that they are not loyal with Western culture, Western countries, not with Sweden, only with Islamic culture, and especially political leaders that are believing to Islam as an ideology. That's what's happening in Sweden.
Do we have the same reaction by the Swedish left right now? Because in Britain, essentially, apart from the really left-wing side, the centre left and right now the Labour government haven't apologized. They haven't actually admitted, but they're basically saying, "Oh yeah, we now know there's a problem. You know, we always said there's a problem." It's like they completely they are gaslighting everybody. But the message is there. People are finally talking about problems with multiculturalism, mass migration, Islam. It's the Swedish, the Social Democrats and others. Have they basically admitted, or are they still basically saying, no, don't talk about this. This is politically incorrect. We need to be nice to everyone, including Islamists.
We are experiencing exactly the same manner in among the Swedish Social Democrats, not other lefties parties, but in Social Democrats. Yeah, they are telling us exactly the same history. So, but it's hard to believe that.
Yes. So let's talk about Salwan Momika. He obviously was originally from Iraq, and he decided to take a big risk. I don't know if he thought he would be safer to do something like that in Sweden, but I mean, he would have been killed in Iraq within 2 minutes. But he didn't just burn the Quran. He was raising awareness about the extreme ideology that is taking over Europe. And I think the sad reality is that even though obviously he knew he was going to get killed eventually, the media reported it and then they moved on. It feels like he wanted his message to get out there, but has it? You know, we know, we care, but the rest of them out there, do they care? Do they know?
He actually was aware about the risks. Of course, he knew what he did, and but he had image that a mission that wake up the Swedish people, Western countries, that what kind of ideology we are experiencing and what kind of risks the countries will be faced in the future. So, of course, he was aware what he's doing. and he was also aware of the risks, but maybe somehow he didn't calculate that Sweden is not the same country where it used to be in 30, 40 years ago. We have a lot of Muslim migrants, and demography in Sweden has changed a lot. And of course, the judicial system is there, but it's not always functioning. And of course, Swedish police couldn't protect him all the time. Sweden is a tiny country, and there are always risks, even if you have heavy bodyguards and protection by Swedish police. So maybe he didn't understand the reality, how he did what kind of problem he would face, and unfortunately, but that was his mission. He said that I know that they are going to kill me, but this is my mission, and I want to send a message. So he did it, but I'm not so sure that the Swedish society will understand or did appreciate what he did. So maybe he shouldn't do things like that. And but on the other hand, everybody has his own mindset and his meaning of the life, and he chose the way. And maybe we shouldn't be sorry about it, but we should be very proud of him that he was a brave man, and showed with his life as evidence that what's going on in what kind of threat we are facing and we will face in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not really just about Sweden. It's the whole of the West not waking up, because we had Salman Rushdie, who I believe about 30 years ago, there was a fatwa on him for writing a book. And that was by Khomeini, the original supreme leader, as you know. And he survived until a few years ago. Then he lost an eye. And that was a famous case. People knew about Salman Rushdie, and still nothing. There's no urgency from especially center-left parties and politicians in the US Democrats and Social Democrats in Sweden, the Labour Party in Britain. And Salman Rushdie was someone that they still respected him. He's an author. That was a bad thing. They almost killed him. Still, it's like, anything could happen to me, to you, and nothing wakes some of these people up. But I'd like to get your thoughts on, obviously, you're a lawyer, you're a legal expert in Sweden, and you've been there. What is this situation with what we reported about the influence of the Islamic Republic of Iran in Sweden? And the Shia organizations. We have a similar problem in London, but it seems like in Germany and Sweden, they are completely in charge of taking taxpayers' money, controlling the mosques, Islamic centers, brainwashing everyone. What's going on? What's the latest on that? What's your assessment?
Yeah, we have actually Shia center in Stockholm, and of course that place is financed by Iranian government, and of course by recent years they receive a lot of money from Swedish taxpayers as an aid, the special authority in Sweden that give to that kind of so-called religious centers. And they, of course, they are misusing the Swedish religious freedom of religion and freedom of experience and thoughts. So that's their mission. That's showing the Swedish people, Swedish authorities, that are a religious group that, like other religious groups, and they desire to have freedom of religion and freedom of expressions. But of course, we know that the Iranian government is financing that mosque in Stockholm, and the mosque has different branches in all over the Sweden. And the leader of the mosque that was expelled 8 months ago, in I think it was in February this year, he was expelled finally by Swedish security police. but he was in charge in 10, 11 years in that mosque. We know that the Swedish Migration Agency has granted him a work permit and residency in Sweden. And we had done a lot of advocating regarding that fact that the mosque and that guy is represented by dictator Khamenei, and his mission is that organizing and infiltrating the Swedish system, institutes, parties, and different authorities. And they were very good at that because they're using the internal resources in terms of human resources, people that are working are Swedish citizens, a lot of them from Iraq, Afghanistan, from Syria, from Lebanon and Yemen, and different Shia diaspora from Middle East. And they have lived in Sweden a lot of years, and they are now citizens in this country, and they have rights, and but they're in Sweden, but their loyalty, of course, is with the Iranian leader and political Islam. So, of course, that is it took a long time for the Swedish security police to make measures against that mosque and that mullah that was sent and was meeting in Stockholm for dictator Khamenei. That's what's happening. I mean, it's exactly you describe the same phenomena in UK and other Western countries. But of course, Swedish system is very fragile, and it takes a very long time to understand the political system, how it works in Iran, how this similar system exists in outside of Iran, especially in Sweden. And we have that dilemma that they are pretending to be a religious group, but the main part of the activities is not religious ceremonies, and it's about gaining the political influence in this country. And Swedish, the strange thing is that Swedish security police has, during the past 3-4 years, or more than 5 years, they are pointing out the Iranian government as a security risk with the Swedish citizens, for the Swedish country, Swedish interests, and alongside with China and Russia. And that's now a fact. And then the Iranian government, by diaspora, by proxy armies in Sweden, in terms of Swedish citizens or non-citizens are living in Sweden, they are conducting operations, intelligence operations in Sweden, and openly, and that's a fact, and the Swedish security police is aware of that.
Right, yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, it feels like the governments like Britain and Sweden, it's like they seem scared of the Islamic Republic. They always say, well, yeah, no, the biggest problem would be if Iran has nuclear. Well, we'll fight against that, but they don't seem to care about the actual threats coming from the Iranian regime.
Yeah,
thank you so much, Nima Rostami, for coming on the show and giving us your thoughts. We'll obviously have you on
If you allow me just a couple of minutes that talk about the case Salwan Momika. I mean, the whole thing is pointing on one direction. The investigation shows that he has the suspect person is a Syrian citizen, but he has fled to Iran directly after the operation. And we know that the Iranian government has doing some intelligence operation in Sweden, and exactly the week after the suspect person fled to Iran and they assassinated Salwan Momika fled to Iran. So the Swedish security police expelled the mullah in the Iranian mosque, which is the reason was that he was a security risk for the Swedish country. And I mean, the fact that the suspect guy, flies to Iran directly after operation, he's a Syrian citizen. He actually had either a Syrian passport or an alliance passport. So, but he needs some kind of visa to fly, to be able to fly to Iran, enter to Iran. And how all things is managed and the operational ways and the accident that the mullah was expelled at the same time, and all investigations are pointing out that this operation, the assassinating Salwan Momika, wouldn't be able without any one foreign and hostile security forces without their support. That's what it's very
Yeah.
obvious that, after all things happens and all investigations is showing that is a fact, and that
Yep.
security force wouldn't be any other country than Iran. And Iranian regime and security forces, they are actually conducting operation by criminals, individuals. Many of them are Swedish citizens, and they have recruited Swedish gangs leaders that they are living in Iran and conducting operations in Sweden, and there are a lot of evidence about that. All information is pointing out that one direction, and that is the Iranian government who is behind the assassination of the Salman
Yeah.
Momika.
You're right, because obviously a Syrian national, after doing something like this, easily getting on a plane, going to Iran with, like, you need a visa. And that means, again,
Yeah.
allegedly, there was clearly he felt confident enough, like, okay, I can do this, and I can quickly get on a plane. Iran is waiting for me. So the investigation should aim towards the Islamic Republic, not just a random Syrian terrorist. So you're absolutely right on that. Thank you so much, Nima Rostami, for coming on the show.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
All right, so that's, one of the main issues that we're currently facing, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that the influence of the Islamic Republic is, the threat is not, as I said, and as I told Nima, isn't just about the Islamic Republic getting nuclear. The European Union spent a lot of time negotiating a nuclear deal, saying, as long as Iran doesn't have nuclear, it's fine. But they don't give up, because Shia Islam is a globalist ideology, and the idea is to create a global caliphate. Of course, they know that they don't have the power to do that. So what they want to do instead is to destabilize the European countries and Western countries in general, including Canada, for example. And it seems like our governments, especially in Sweden, don't seem to actually, the perception is they don't seem to care, or they don't seem to know, or maybe they are scared of the Islamic Republic. It has to be one of these two, one of these three options, because otherwise the fourth option is going to be slightly dangerous, which is, do our governments really want to destroy the European culture and identity by even inviting Islam? There is a lot of reaction to this from you guys. We've got the first one saying that Sweden gets hundreds of grenade and bomb attacks per year. There's a lot of explosions happening in Sweden, even more than Germany. We don't really have that in the UK. We don't really have that kind of casual attacks. We get a lot of stabbings, we get a lot of grooming gangs. Every now and then we get someone to obviously... it's been a while since we had a major terrorist attack, apart from, of course, the synagogue attack that we had a couple of weeks back in northern Manchester. But in terms of casualties, mass casualties, we haven't had any successfully operated terrorist attack that takes away, for example, dozens of lives or hundreds of lives. But in Sweden, we get explosions left, right, and center. In Germany, we have the same problem. But the investigations, at least in Germany, they started to do raids on mosques and Islamic centers. There was a couple of them in Sweden as well, but there doesn't seem to be any urgency. Yes, that's a very good point, by the way. The Vatican has also allowed Islam into Vatican to worship in the room. So this is the new policy that was announced by the Vatican a few days ago, that basically said, this is the most insane thing ever. Vatican, whether you're a Catholic or not, is supposed to be the home of the Christian establishment. Politically speaking, culturally speaking, everything, right? Power, where the power of the Christian establishment is. So basically, the home. And the final frontier seems to be a surrendering, because in order to pander to political correctness. They've announced that the Muslims who go to Vatican, I'm not really sure why they're going there, they asked for them to have an Islamic prayer room by the Vatican library, and the Vatican and the Pope agreed. So this is some sort of counter crusade happening. The fact that this is symbolically, this is a very good example of what's actually happening with Islam. What they end up doing is they come and firstly ask and say, can we have this? If you're a normal person, you ask, why do you need it? Now, why do you need an Islamic prayer room in the Vatican? How many Muslims even go to visit, right? Some might just go for curiosity, but do they really need an Islamic room? They don't need it, but it's part of planting their flag. That's the point. It's the same as when they block roads, main roads in the center of cities. Like we've had the same problems sometimes in London, but mostly in cities like Moscow. Moscow gets taken over because obviously Moscow has a huge Islamic population. Moscow gets taken over, the streets. We've had the same situation in Paris, in Berlin, again sometimes in London. They take over the streets, they do Friday prayers. You don't need that when you have major mosques around the city, hundreds and hundreds. It's symbolic. It's supposed to be just the sign of show of strength that we are here. Everything with Islam is showing the symbolic moves if you can't show the actual violent move. If you have to, then you can get physical and violent to do your jihad, but you don't have to all the time. You can also just do it symbolically. And the fact that we have weak and feeble establishments, including the Vatican, you know, someone goes in there and say, can we just get an Islamic prayer room? They're like, yeah, sure, that's a nice idea. Why? You don't need it. We know why they're doing it. Adam, I'm writing Trump to end my personal struggle. 75% off membership today, or I drop it in the mail. You have been warned. P.S. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Adam, for the inside joke. The new viewers don't get the 75% joke. Adam has been campaigning for a long time for us to give a 75% discount to Tousi TV Plus memberships. Of course, we're not doing that. That's a terrible idea. But you can join Tousi TV Plus today by scanning the QR code at the bottom right of the screen, or just go directly on tousi.tv. You get access to the full channel, podcasts, documentaries, interviews, and our chat forum, of course, which we will go to that with the members shortly after this to continue the conversation. Of course, the most important thing that you should do is also download the Tousi TV app from your app stores today. That's also the easiest way to basically cast the videos on your TV, on your smart TVs. If you want to do that, you can watch the documentaries on that easily. And also you can stay up to date with everything, the daily news posts throughout the day. Obviously, YouTube will give you guys the live breaking news, but throughout the day, we have a lot of news updates for you guys as well. When has the Vatican ever not been corrupted? So the one thing is about the corruption that the Vatican has had for a long time, just like any other establishment. And one thing is about surrender. Surrendering is a whole different issue. And obviously they go hand in hand. You would say, well, you have to be corrupt to surrender. But it also shows the weakness of the establishment right now. Right. PC says 75%, you might as well make it free if you do that. Yeah, so the fun fact is, even when we give you guys like 20% discount, which we do regularly, we actually make a loss. So I think it's about 10% it's like break even. And yeah, anything above that, that's why we do limited offers. Because if we continue with the discounts, then we won't be able to pay our staff, and everybody will go hungry, and there will be genocide, and you know there will be a whole arrest warrant against me by the ICC. I can't go through that again. Our Catholic leaders, religious gone insane. Tomorrow they will ask to pray in our churches. They already have, by the way. I'll explain that. They have lost their brains. They are evil. And how did Vatican allow to pray to Allah, who is Antichrist? So the Catholic side obviously doing this. The Protestant side have gone further. So the non-Catholic Christians have already, in many countries, including the UK, opened up their churches to Islam so that they could actually use the building, the whole church, for iftar and Ramadan and prayers. I'm like, what is the point of now, at this point, promoting the message of Christ if you're just going to say, well, any religion could just get involved now? Any religion that's not even a religion. Islam is a political ideology, of course, pretending to be an Abrahamic religion. So it's completely pointless. They're all gone mad, absolutely mad. Okay, anyway, we will keep you guys posted on this investigation, the manhunt of this Syrian Islamist who's now fled to Iran. A lot of questions about that, how on earth he managed to immediately get to Iran with or without a visa. Clearly they knew he was going to go, and we'll keep you guys posted on everything else as well. Thank you so much for watching. We're going to continue this conversation now with the members of Tousi TV Plus. If you become a member, you can join us now to talk to me directly. You can do that by going on our chat forum, our private Discord server. Click on post live chat on the left hand side, or if you're using a mobile device, it looks like this. Post live chat, and I will see you guys on the other side in the next few minutes. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maya Tousi, and we are the media.